Good afternoon. All right. Let's rise as we're able. I'm going to call the singers up forward, and let's begin this day by singing together. Casting my cares aside. I'm leaving my doubts behind. I'm setting my heart and mind on you, Jesus. I'm reaching my hand to yours, believing there's so much more, knowing that all you have in store for me. It's good. Today is the day you have made. I will rejoice and be glad in it. Today is the day you have made. I will rejoice and be glad in it. And I won't worry about tomorrow. I'm trusting in what you say. Today is the day. Today is the day. Amen. You may be seated.
Beloveds, welcome to MCC Tampa. Thank you for being here. For many of us, this is very much like a family reunion, and I am so grateful, and I offer up the gratitude from Phyllis for all of you who are here today, online and in person. Let's pray. God, thank you for your presence in this place that Vilia created, where she created so much music, where she used her spirit, the place where she sometimes struggled and where she always loved, where she loved you and all of us. Thank you, God, for bringing us together to celebrate Vilia's life today. Amen. And now I will invite up Charlie, Schuyler, Peyton, and Jennings.
Hello. Hello. Are we all? There we go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hi.
Is that? You can talk, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
We're splitting reading the obituary, so we got to make sure that our different heights are accounted for. But yeah, we good. We good. We good. Okay. Okay. Vilia passed from this life into the next on November 23rd, 2020, a little after 2 p.m. after a long illness. She was survived by her beloved wife, Phyllis, of 28 years, her mother, Vilia, her brother, Paul, and spouse, Lisa, nieces, Angie, Taylor, Sarah, Stephen, Rebecca, Mark, nephews, JR, spouses, Jessica, and David, and Alan Wayne, great niece, Penny, Lily, great nephews, Jackson, Carson, and her godchildren, us, Schuyler, Peyton, Jennings, Charlie, extended family, and friends. Vilia was born January 6th, All Kings Day, in Havana, Cuba in 1957. Her parents managed a successful escape in 1961 and settled in Miami. At an early age, she had a passion for music and travel. She was an exchange student in Spain at 15 and returned to the United States, finding her way to a girl band at 16. The Dairy Queens would soon become Three's a Crowd and played nightclubs and bars, to include True Air Base in Greenland. Vilia started playing guitar at 12, and when she joined Three's a Crowd, the group decided they need someone to play the keyboard, so Vilia taught herself the piano. This talent made it possible for her to hear a piece of music and in a short period of time play it. At 16, she went to electronic trade school, which opened the door to be the first female hired to work at Virginia Power as a lineman. She moved to Washington, D.C. at 18, continued to play music, and found her way into the ground floor of information technology at IBM, where she worked on mainframes and government buildings with a high security clearance. IBM offered her many opportunities to learn new IT skills and certifications as a network engineer. In 1992, she and Phyllis became a couple, and a new adventure began. They had a commitment ceremony in 1995. A few years later, while working for Cisco Systems in California, she helped design and oversee the installation of the first cellular tower in Barcelona, Spain. As she grew in the field of technology, she expanded her bank of knowledge into cybersecurity and concluded a 40-year career as a cybersecurity officer for a genetics counseling firm, Informed DNA, where she worked with her beloved cronies for the last 10 years of her career.
Okay. Musically, too short for this. Okay. Musically, Vilia served as a co-director of the gospel choir at MCC Washington, D.C., at which time she began pursuing a degree in music and composition. She served the Metropolitan Community Church of Tampa as a music director for 9 years, and Gulfport Presbyterian Church for 4 years. She also had a passion with cooking and attended the Escoffier Culinary Institute, where she became with cooking and science. After graduating, she volunteered at the St. Vincent de Paul Soup Kitchen and made sure she always had lunch bags full of water, snacks, masks, and money for those in need. Vilia was an extreme introvert who was quite comfortable behind the scenes, but often found her passion at the intersection of lively and vivacious extroverts. Her passions often invited her to be on stage, and she found the strength and courage within herself to show up and offer her gifts to the world. She touched to the world she touched. She also loved sailing, got her captain's license, and found that the place where she communed with God. She and Phyllis were married in a double wedding ceremony with Robert Pope and Lawrence Conrad in Toronto, Canada, July 27, 2004, and shared 28 years together. Vilia loved all things comedy, demonstrating her own dry humor. She was a lifelong learner and reinvented herself several times along her journey. She was a self-professed nerd and proud of it. She had a brilliant mind, charitable spirit, possessed amazing critical thinking skills, loved travel, exploration, and learned thank you in the language of every country she visited. She had a passion for food and the art of science and cooking. She often wove all these traits and fused the genres of jazz, gospel music into the tapestry of her life. She was loved by many and is deeply missed.
I'm sorry to say that I am not a chromie. I am one of Phyllis's co-workers and colleagues, but I have the honor of representing Vilia's colleagues, affectionately known as the chromies from Informed DNA, by reading the following reflection from Parker Palmer, which you will find on the backside of your bulletin. Everything falls away. Sooner or later, everything falls away. You, the work you've done, your successes, large and small, your failures too. Those moments when you were light, alongside the times when you became one with the night. The friends, the people you loved who loved you, those who might have wished you ill. None of this is forever. All of it is soon to go, or going, or long gone. Everything falls away except the thread you've followed, unknowing all along. The thread that strings together all you've been and done. The thread you didn't know you were tracking until toward the end you see that the thread is what stays as everything else falls away. Follow that thread as far as you can, and you'll find that it does not end, but weaves into the unimaginable vastness of life. Your life never was the solo turn it seemed to be. It was always part of the great weave of nature and humanity. An immensity we come to know only as we follow our own small threads to the place where they merge with the boundless whole. Each of our threads runs its course, then joins in life together. This magnificent tapestry, this masterpiece in which we live forever. And you will note that attached to your bulletin is an arrow and a thread, and you are invited to pull that thread and carry it home with you to remind you that you also are a beautiful thread in life's gorgeous tapestry.
Geez, you didn't say there'd be light. Well, my name's Jeannie Broderick, and I think this year is our 50th year of friendship with Vilia, my 50th year, and my friend Virgil, our bass player. I usually am not very good at talking about other people. I'm usually talking about myself, but I'm going to do my best, and I've got to use notes because I'm at that advanced age. I met Vilia in Miami. She came to audition for a band that we had started called the Dairy Queens. And it was a glam rock band. For those of you who don't know what glam rock is, it probably is a kind of a version of what punk these days, I suppose. But she showed up. We called her guitar school, and she showed up. They said, well, we have this girl. She actually plays bass. She just won the high school bass championship in Florida, of all of Florida. And we said, well, can she play any guitar? Because we were really desperate. So they said, yes, she can. So she came, she showed up, she had overalls on, a t-shirt, boots, and this guitar, acoustic guitar. This band was so far out, they had no eyebrows, they had, makeup all over the place, they wore fishnet hose, knickers, and I was nowhere near them, but I was a little bit different from Vilia. But she showed up and impressed us pretty much at 16 years old. She could play very well, and we said, okay, you're in. We have a gig at the pizza place across from the University of Miami. And that was our first and last gig. We broke up. You know how bands are. They can be problematic. But Vilia stayed in touch with me and Virgil. Virgil and I were living together at the time in a relationship. And Vilia stayed with us. And we went on to start another group called Think of Us. I don't think you have a picture of that over there. And Virgil was on piano, and Vilia played bass, which is what she was really known for and was best at. So we did a few gigs in Miami, some of the gay bars, and Vilia was only, by this time, 17 years old. So during our breaks, she had to go outside and, because she couldn't be in the bar unless she was working. You could work in a bar, but you couldn't be in a bar. So we would go outside and just hang around. And one night we went out, and Vilia says, did you see that girl looking at me? And Virgil had said, yes, I did, and that's not a girl. That is a trans woman. And Vilia was like, no, that's a woman. And she was looking at me, and she thinks I'm hot, and I think she really likes me. So turned out all that was true, except it was a woman, and Vilia ended up being in a relationship with Danelle at a very, very young age. And so we were all just living our life in Miami. The band was doing pretty well. And then Vilia decides, you know what, I had started going to technical school, and I think I need to go back to that. And I always called it TV repair school, but actually, apparently, it was a lot more than that. She could do she did computers. She said it's computer school, not TV repair school. And I said, well, okay, I didn't even know what a computer was. I was like, how do you even know this? I'm in my 20s. I should know what a computer is. But anyway, she went back to school, and we kind of went our separate ways for a while. And then one day, Vilia calls us, and she says, listen, out of nowhere, Virgil and I were playing in another band, but we were ready to leave it, and we were kind of tired of it. And Vilia says, I've been practicing on piano, and I've got a repertoire. Do you guys want to get back together again? Well, we jumped at the chance. And as it turned out, we had a New Year's gig planned for that New Year's in just a couple weeks. We didn't have time to rehearse, really, so we just showed it. We did do a very short practice of a few songs. And it said, well, we fit right back into this. So we show up at the New Year's gig on Miami Beach. Vilia plays her 6-song repertoire of a 4-hour set and says, I don't know anything else. And we were like, what? Are you kidding? So Virgil thankfully knew how to play Hello Dolly, and turns out the people at the party, the New Year's party, were of an age that Hello Dolly was just right up their alley. So we did a few of our other songs that we did in Think of Us, played Hello Dolly all night with everyone listening. Everyone who was there wanted to get up and sing. Normally bands don't like people to show up and go, I want to sing. But we were like, want to sing? So they came up and sang, and then we'd run out in the hallway, and Virgil would practice a bunch of stuff on piano of our old repertoire, and we'd go back into another set, back out in the hallway, invite more people up to sing Hello. Let's do a group Hello Dolly. Let's do every version of Hello Dolly we can think of. So, but the songs she did know, she really played well, and they were fantastic. So we decided, yeah, let's pull this band back together, and this time we're going to be Three's a Crowd. So we became Three's a Crowd, started playing around Miami, and I was working at a pool. Vilia had, I don't know, I don't think she was even, I don't know if she was working. I don't know what she was doing. It was a long time ago, and and Virgil was working at a bookstore. So we quit our jobs and went on the road with this band. And one of the places we ended up going was Greenland, the country. And we had done we did like a showcase. They used to have showcases. And our agent, it was really noisy, and our agent, we were sitting across the table, and our agent says, I nearly booked you guys in Greenland. And we were like, well, we want to travel. That's great. Well, I thought he said Greenville, North Carolina. He said Greenland, the country, but I didn't know. So we get our orders to go from McGuire Air Force Base to Thule, Greenland, to play the Air Force bases there. And so I called Vilia and I said, you're not going to believe this. We're not going to Greenville. We're going to Greenland. And she says, what's that? I said, it's a country. And she runs, wait, I have to get the encyclopedia. She runs and gets her encyclopedia. And she goes, it's all white there. I said, yes, it is all snow. It's inside the Arctic Circle. And we're going for 6 weeks. And so we did, and it was amazing. Now, the good thing for Vilia was she always had a lot of allergies that I remember. Maybe she outgrew them, I don't know, but she always had allergies. And in Greenland, she was perfect. Her voice was clear. She could do it. She said, I feel great here. So we had an amazing time. And when we got back, we just kept touring around Florida, and then finally went on throughout the country and played in some other places, one of which was the Michigan Women's Music Festival. I don't know if any of you have ever heard of this. But we pulled up. Now, Vilia was not a back-to-nature kind of person. She was she liked things glitzy and clean, and, she liked that kind of stuff. So we pull up to this place, and these women are showering on rocks, naked, outside. And Vilia gets out of her car, and we traveled. I had a van, and she drove around following us in her Pinto. And she comes running up, and she goes, let's just give the money back and get out of here. I don't want to be here. I said, we can't do that. First of all, we need the money. And it wasn't that much, but we needed it. So we played the Women's Music Festival. We were there a week, but when we first got there, Vilia had her music going, and she was playing Stevie Wonder on her boombox. And this big woman comes up, and she goes, I'm here. I don't hear any men all week long. I just don't want to hear it. They were a little bit radical there. And Vilia goes, but it's Stevie Wonder. I was like, it's not a man, it's Stevie Wonder. So, and the other thing that happened there that stands out for me is we were at a rehearsal, and we were at an open mic kind of thing, and our equipment was set up because we were going to rehearse, but they were using our equipment. And Vilia looks over, and this woman is naked, sitting on Vilia's piano stool. And she was like, I don't like this I'm not happy with this. And we were like, what are we going to do now? So anyway, we played Michigan. It was amazing. And eventually, we left Miami and moved to D.C. because Vilia loved the city. She loved Washington, D.C., and we moved there, and we continued playing around a little bit, but we eventually went our separate ways again. Vilia went back to repairing televisions and a couple other things, and became very successful at it. I did nothing like usual. I mean, I had some horrible job, I'm sure, and Virgil worked, and we were still together. And still friends with Vilia, but we the music had kind of ended for good. We were done. So we went on to play a few more things. She really threw herself into her career, and then one day meets Phyllis, and I'm pretty sure I'm responsible for this, for introducing them. So you're welcome. And one funny thing that I'll tell you is I was painting a house on Smith Island, which is in the bay, in the Chesapeake Bay, between Maryland and Virginia. And Vilia came, and I'd invited Phyllis. I'd known her from church, and I said, why don't you come and hang out? It's Thanksgiving weekend. We're just going to have a nice time. And Virgil and I had broken up by then, so I was with this other woman named Lorraine. And so Phyllis came, and Vilia was there, and I'm outside. I'm painting my cousin's house, because I became a house painter. And I'm scraping and painting, and Vilia's drinking her coffee, and she says, it's a lot of work. You know, when I'm done with my coffee, I'll send Phyllis out to help you. And I think she used that a couple more times, didn't she? I think that became her go-to. And then over the course of years, you know, we still were kind of ran our separate ways, and I started going to MCCDC with a friend of mine, and we loved it. We just loved it. And then one day, Vilia walks in the door, and it was like, oh my God, the band's back together again. Virgil was playing bass, Vilia played piano, and we did gospel choir concerts, and I really had no idea what an incredible musician Vilia was. I mean, she could read music. We were hacks. We couldn't read music. We still don't. But Vilia could do all that, and she never made herself seem better than us, even though she was. She always just played along and made us feel like we were equals, which we know now was not true. But, and then we were all going to church together. Phyllis and Vilia were together, and then they left me, and they moved to San Francisco. And I think Phyllis went to seminary out there. Vilia was out there. I visited a few times, but we really didn't have the connection that we had playing the music together. But we remained friends, and I'm just so proud to be here, and thank you, Phyllis, for having me talk about my friend, and God bless you, Vilia.
Jeannie, that was really great. That was a really great story. That was like, wow, a lot of fun. You could really actually relate being there with all the stories you were telling. You could almost sit in the space of your mind and visualize what that must have been like. So thank you. This is Bob Pope, and this is Lawrence Conrad, Kathy Campbell-Haru, and my name is Jen. All right, so I was asked to say a few words, and I'm real good at not speaking in front of people, so please. I'm not going to be as entertaining as Jeannie, but I'll do my best to help explain how Vilia and I and Phyllis and Kathy met a pretty long way back. The first time I met Phyllis and Vilia, I was riding up in an elevator, going to a dinner all dressed up to a Mautner Project fundraiser in D.C. And lucky me, even though I went with a different date, I got seated right next to Kathy, and how she made me laugh. It's only gotten better and better since then, I have to admit. Unbeknownst to me, Phyllis was helping Kathy decide if I would be a good person to date. She must have been right, because we've been together now more than 26 years. I first knew Vilia as a fellow alien. She was born in Cuba and emigrated to the U.S. as a 4-year-old. I was born in Canada and emigrated to the U.S. when I was 3-year-old. She spoke Spanish, I spoke French, and after a while, we discovered that we both spoke cuisine. We both love being in the kitchen, and I do have some very cherished memories of making cioppino sauce/stew. Now, mind you, cioppino is an Italian-American seafood stew, and it was most likely originated on fishing boats as a one-pot meal for fishermen that would cook up for themselves at the end, at the end of the day with their catch. So despite its humble simplicity, it is gloriously alluring, it's impressive looking, and with chunks of fresh fish and shellfish piled into a tomato-rich broth, fragrant with garlic and herbs and aromatic vegetables. Nothing needed after that except maybe some nice fresh Cuban or French bread. That was almost 20 years ago in their Gulfport home that we were cooking for members of MCC Tampa. Mind you, we still lived in DC at the time, but we came down to visit to help out because that's the kind of friends that we were. I believe it was about this time when we started calling each other mon ami, which means my friend in French. It took 6 more years of persuasion before we moved to the Tampa Bay St. Pete area, but we were able to cook together on several more occasions. And I'll never forget working with Phyllis and Vilia, making up thousands, whipping up a gluten-free host for the General Conference in Orlando, what seems like just a few years ago. That was a lot. I mean, we burnt a heck of a lot more. So when we say, 6,000, probably, maybe 1,000 were burnt. I don't know. They were pretty thin. But Vilia also helped with our very own 20th anniversary here in the St. Pete area, and she brought her sous vide. And we cooked up the most perfect scallops. I was hooked. So even after having cooked at the National Geographic Society in Washington, D.C. for a couple years as the show-off chef, which exhibition chef, no big deal, but I still had a lot to learn. And I owe all of my sous vide prowess entirely to Vilia. I've shared this knowledge with so many today, and I remember telling them, it's all Vilia's fault. So as a result, a lot of my friends have bought sous vides. It was wonderful to see Vilia's growth as a chef in her culinary classes and to be able to learn from her. She shared her friendship, her love, and the generosity, just unbelievable, and not only to me, but so many people in this room. One more very important thing I learned from Vilia was to make up bags of goodies to pass along for people who were on the street. She didn't want to just give them a couple of bucks. She wanted to make a difference. So she made up gift bags, and they were filled with needs: some hand sanitizer, a mask to stay safe, a bottle of water, a can of Vienna sausages, because they're very easy to open and they're filled with protein, and 2 or 3 energy bars, along with a $5 bill. She loved and respected people and just wanted to help in her small, quiet way. I had no idea she was doing this until Phyllis shared it with me. So I took it up right away, and I still participate to this day. I have about 20 bags out back, so if you want to pick one up and start duplicating, as a quick note, don't look for any $5 bills in my bags. Because I put 5 $1 bills, because every $5 that passes through my hands has to go towards the vacation fund. But I see that Phyllis had the same idea and brought her bags there as well, so there's plenty for everybody. And I'm sure that Vilia's light of love will continue to shine on you as well. Vilia will always be in my heart and soul, and I will forever, ever miss her. And thank God for crossing our paths in so many different ways. May many of you have forever memories as well, and I ask God's blessings on us all. Amen, sister. Forever may you rest in peace, mon ami.
Hi, I'm Lawrence Conrad. I didn't think I had anything to say, but Jeannie brought a lot of points up that I had to think back on the Vilia that I knew, and I never put it all together. I remember when they lived in Altamont Spring, whatever it was in California, and Vilia took us sailing. I mean, this was this huge boat, and this little woman was just like, she was the captain, and she could do that, and that was just. I now look at this woman as, with the many capabilities that she had, and being an introvert, you never knew it. She was very quiet. But I will tell you, sitting in this seat, she's here. And I have to explain how this works. And it doesn't happen too often to me, but it's like somebody opens a portal up here, and there she is it's far away, but she's a holy woman, and that should have made sense to me before, because the woman was so capable and had so many abilities that I never put all that together of what that soul was within her. And what I'm seeing is this incredible soul, I'm going to call her a holy woman, who had all these abilities. But she also was an interesting, funny lady. When Phyllis graduated from seminary, we were invited to come to California, and I guess there was going to be a fundraiser for the school that she graduated from, and that didn't happen. So what was planned for the night of this party was we were going to go see the vagina monologues. Now, my husband has no idea what a woman's body is about. And this huge limousine pulls up in front of their apartment, and we all scuttle into this thing, and we go see the vagina monologues. And he is just lost when they started this stuff. So he learned a lot that night. We also had the privilege of a double wedding with them in Toronto, and that was an amazing experience. But I think where I'm going is, I'm going to look at people differently from now on, because there's more depth to them than they present themselves to be. She's certainly, of what I'm seeing of her on the other side, is huge in this little body. When she left this body, she really is who she is, and I think Phyllis knew that, and I think that's what made that relationship. So I want to celebrate this happy occasion. I want to celebrate their relationship and who they were in my life, and the majesty, and it was more than majesty. It was I don't have a word for it. It was exciting. Thank you. As you can see, we're getting a little older.
Well, good afternoon. Sometimes you just have to walk with another leg, you know. I was going to reflection of talking about going back to 1980s, I don't know, 6 or 7, when I first met Phyllis, when she was in the choir at King of Peace. And then we were invited to come up to Washington, D.C. to participate in this wedding, or Holy Union, I guess we called it back then. And that's when I first met Vilia. And what an exciting time that was. I told them both to follow their dream and also honor what somebody tells them to do, like their partner. I don't think either one of them listened. But anyway. But what I really want to tell you about, I love to travel, and I love to find cheap ways to get where I'm going. And I got this flyer from one of the tour people for a trip to Shanghai, China for $795, airfare and hotel. And I spoke to Phyllis and Vilia about it, but Vilia decided that she wanted to go with us. And so we all booked for this trip to Shanghai. And I made a little bit of changes in our itinerary because I wanted to stay in the Peace Hotel. That's a very famous hotel in Shanghai. Not exactly a modern place, but we enjoyed it. And we stayed there, and one of the things that you do when you're at the Peace Hotel is that you go to the cocktail lounge and you listen to the jazz band, very world famous jazz band. Now the jazz band doesn't just play continuously. You have to cross their palms with a little bit of money to get them to play something. And then they'll play and they'll play and they'll play. And just as soon as they finish that song, they'll stop and there'll be silence until somebody else crosses their palm with some money. So we were enjoying ourselves at the Peace Hotel Cocktail Lounge, and Vilia and I both were martini drinkers, so we ordered martinis. Well, I'm here to tell you, if you ever go to the Peace Hotel, do not order a martini. It was the worst thing I have ever drunk in my life. And both of us drank it, but we weren't very happy about it. And I want you to know that these people up on the stage, when Phyllis and Vilia were married in Toronto, and Lawrence and I joined them for a double ring ceremony?
Somebody crashed.
Yeah, there were people standing at the door pounding to come in when we just started the ceremony. And it was Kathy and Jen. They were in Toronto for another matter, and they came and joined us there. I've many times sat in this congregation, in this sanctuary, and listened to the music from the piano that she would play. It was uplifting always. And I will miss her very much. But what a joy it has been to know her all these years. And I thank you all for being here and sharing with us.
All right, now it is time for us to receive an offering for the food bank. And if you are able to bring cans of food or other food, there is a basket in the hallway for that. And if you would like to contribute to the food bank, we'll be passing the baskets now. I do want to say a brief prayer. God, we thank you for Vilia's life, and we are all inspired by her generosity, especially when it came to those who were less fortunate than ourselves. Vilia inspired us all to make sure that we were trying to take care of the needy. And so please bless this offering for MCC Tampa's food bank. Amen.
I am what I am. I am my own special creation. So come take a look. Give me the hook or the ovation. It's my world that I want to have a little pride in. My world, and it's not a place I have to hide in. Life's not worth a damn till you can say I am what I am till you can shout out, I am what I
What are you doing? Yeah? What's that face? What do you think you're doing? Did I tell you how much I love you today? I love you so much. Yes! I love you truly, truly I do. I love you truly. I love you, I love you.
What's the word on the street, you hot rods?
I deal my own deck, sometimes the ace, sometimes the deuces. It's one life and there's no return and no deposit. One life's always looking open up the horizon. Love's never got down till you can shout out, I am what I am.
I made my own sandwich, so I don't have to stop at Wawa's. I have a breakfast sandwich.
In her new makeshift kitchen.
In my new makeshift, I love it. I just love it.
Until the new one is installed, this will be the kitchen.
I think I would like to have the cutting board on this side and the dishes on that side because there's no electric over there. So there's all that room I don't use, and I keep having to walk back and forth.
And that's what logical looks like.
What? I just want to be close to what I'm doing.
The conductor of the kitchen.
Hi. Okay, fine. Friends. Thank you for coming. Thank you for all of the ways in which you have blessed our journey together. It took 2 years to get here because Vilia got very sick in the middle of a global pandemic. A month before she died, my father died. Vilia died on November 23rd, and Mommy, as most of us affectionately called her, though sometimes it was other names, died Christmas Day. Then we had Delta, then we had Omicron, then I had my own medical emergency kind of thing go on, and now here we are on the most perfect day to gather. Vilia loved November, she loved the fall, and it seemed fitting that this, her second anniversary of her death, and what would be our 30th anniversary together, that we come and celebrate her passion, which was disco, and her life, which was our experience. So I want to say a few things. Things came in threes for Vilia along her journey. Certainly, Three's a Crowd was a big part of her life. She really had, I would say that she marched to the beat of her own tin can. I mean, she could make music with whatever she had before her. And one of the things that she didn't want to do is follow the traditions of adolescence and high school. So she quit high school. She was an exchange student and she went to Spain. And then her and 2 other friends decided that they would call their parents and get an extension on their stay. And all of their parents agreed, and her other 2 friends bailed and went home. So Vilia stayed in Spain, bought a Euro pass, and saw the world at 15. She was very adventurous. And she was going to some city where she was going to get some money from her parents, because, you know, back then it was Western Union, or I don't know what the international way of getting money was, but there was no ATM or ATM, and she had no money. And she ran into these 3 young people, and she was just beside herself. And she didn't know what she was going to do to be able to get to this place where she was going to get some money, and she was sharing her plight with these kids. And they said, well, we have some change. And they reached in their pockets, and they emptied their pockets, and they gave her everything that they had. And she was like, how can I ever repay you? And they said, it won't be your responsibility to pay us. We're going to ask that you pay it forward. Let me just say that when that movie came out, she was like, that was my idea first. Vilia and I met, and it was just one of those synchronicity things in life. We sang in the choir together, and she sat next to me, and I had actually met Vilia at Jeannie's 40th birthday party, and I first experienced her spirit where she came in the living room and she said, hey, Jean, we're going to make a dance floor, and she cleared all the furniture in the living room. And she looked at me and she said, oh, you want to dance? And I was like, no. Thank you. We went to breakfast some months later, actually 4 years later. And we were sitting at lunch or breakfast, and she said to me, Phil, I know you've been through some difficult times, but I want you to know I see a strong person inside of you. And I know you're having a hard time. So I'm going to loan you some of my strength until you're strong enough to carry on. And I said, thank you. This coffee is delicious. I bet it's Maxwell House. And she said, I'll bet you $1 it's Folgers. And I was like, I have $1. Okay, I'll bet you $1, because I was sure I was right. Well, I had my back to the waitress station, and Vilia said, turn around and look at the coffee machine. Right next to it is a can of Folgers. I'll take the $1 now. There were many times in my relationship where she would bet me $1, and I was always sure I was right, and that is how she became rich. As Jean said, we moved to San Francisco so that I could go to seminary. And while we were in the San Francisco Bay Area, Vilia turned 40. And she had 3 midlife crisis events, which always meant she had to buy something. And one of those things that she bought was a convertible. It was near Christmas, and we very often talked about how cool would it be to do one of those, romantic experiences where you go to the Christmas tree farm and you pick that special tree and you cut it down and you put it in the back of your convertible. So we did that. We went to Half Moon Bay where there was a tree farm, and we went out with this lumberjack guy, and he is going to help us cut down our tree. Little did he know how little help we needed from him, but we obliged, and we found the perfect tree, and he showed us how to use the saw, and we cut down the tree, and the whole time we're cutting down the tree, our hearts are sinking that we just killed a tree. And all the way home, we're passing all of these tree stands for sale of trees someone else cut down for us. And I told Vilia, I don't think I can ever do this again. And she said, no, I can't either. And we got a flat tire. Now, some people might be really upset about this experience, but Vilia pulled over, and we looked at each other, and true high dike fashion said, let's time how long it takes. So we took 9 minutes and 40 seconds for us to change the tire. And so that was a reminder, from now on, we won't cut down trees and we won't get flat tires. Now, at our commitment ceremony, we had the typical exchanges of vows, and I promise to, and I do, and all that good stuff. But Vilia added an extra, I promise. Vilia promised to support me in all my harebrained schemes, and that there would always be laughter in our house because of it. So I'm here to say that much of our relationship did include harebrained schemes, but they were not all mine. When Vilia was the director of the gospel choir, which came with everything that's been mentioned and then a little more. One of the things, choir, I'm going to need your help with this. One of the things Vilia always said was, if you make a mistake, make it with confidence. Yeah, and that is a takeaway for all of us, though hard to muster from time to time. Did I mention things come in threes? So about 6 months before Vilia died, she was declining, and we were managing that okay, and she called me one day at work, and she said, "Phyllis, I just found the most beautiful piano. I haven't bought a piano in 20 years. It's my dying wish. Can I buy this piano?" Sure. A few weeks later, we went to the home show, and we're going through the aisles, and she comes upon the most magnificent scooter she's ever seen in her life. And she's like, "Phyllis, I've always wanted a scooter. I could ride to Walmart. It's my dying wish." So we got a scooter. And after Pepe died, she was really wanting another dog. And I had a lot going on between my job and my aging parents and her mom and Vilia. The last thing I wanted was another living, breathing responsibility. I already had to do the dishes after Chef Vilia cooked every night. One day we were out running errands, and she said, "Phyllis, look at this cute little Chihuahua. He's 8 years old, and he's at the Humane Society. His name is Skippy." Yippee. So I called the Humane Society, and I said, "Any chance we could come by and look at Skippy?" "Sure, come on over. We'll put you down for 3 o'clock. So 20 minutes later, we get to the Humane Society, and we go inside, and they said, "Oh, we're so sorry. We just adopted Skippy, but we have some Rottweilers who need good homes." We thanked them and left. No, I did not. So we get in the car, and she's furiously looking on the Adopt-A-Pet site. She said, "Phyllis, I really want another dog. It's my dying wish." I said, "Give me the list." "Okay, what do you say?" "You can't say no to that." So we got a Cavalier King Charles Spaniel, who she wanted to name King Charles, Prince of Blenheim, Duke of the Mainlands, but that was too many names, so he's King Charles, Duke of the Mainlands, affectionately known as KC. Couple of weeks before she died, our godchildren and family came to visit us. And after they left, she took a nap, and when she woke up, she said, "Are you still going to Publix?" "Yes." "Do you think I could go with you?" Now, let me just tell you that at this point, Vilia couldn't transfer by herself. She couldn't walk. She struggled a little bit with her language. Her motor skills were really challenging, but this worked. So I said, "Well, if I can get you in and out of the little car, we can go to Publix." So I get her in the little car. We get to Publix. I run inside, get the wheelchair, run back out to the car, and she says, "Do you think you could get me on the scooter?" "Sure." So I go get the scooter, and I'm like, what if she slips off or runs someone over or hits an end cap? But I'll get her on the scooter. So I got her on, I tied her in. We got inside the store. She put on her mask and we began. I said to her, Vilia, I just want to let you know that I am going to walk beside you so that you do not run anyone over or hit the ketchup in cap. She gets on the scooter, we enter the store, and she's accelerating to 2 miles an hour and says, oh, I feel the air-conditioned breeze moving through my curls. And then she hops it up to another mile and says, I feel like the little piggy in the Geico commercial going down the street squealing, whee! We celebrated our 28th anniversary 6 days before she died. And one of the things that would annoy Vilia is when I would move into chaplain mode. So I tried really hard never to do that, but I said to her, Vilia, I have a chaplain conversation, if you don't mind. She was like, go ahead. I said, well, there's this book. It's called 4 Things That Matter by Ira Byock. And I just want to say to you, I forgive you. Will you forgive me? Thank you. And I love you. And it was a very, very sacred moment of exchange. Three months after her passing, you know, Vilia was really, really smart financially. Now, I didn't pay bills for 28 years, so I had a lot of catching up to do. And she was a cybersecurity officer, and up until a few months before she died, everything was in the books and in order, and then she started changing usernames and passwords and didn't write it down, and I am not technical. So I had a really fast learning curve. But I decided, because Vilia was so smart and taught me so much, that I should capitalize on the housing market and find a house in Tampa. So I found a house with the help of Ralph and Arel, got my house ready in the Mainlands. Did I mention Duke of the Mainlands? That's where we lived. And moved to Tampa. 6 months later, or a few months later, I'm outside walking my dog, and a lady walks down the street with a Cavalier King Charles. And I'm walking my Cavalier King Charles, and we have this King Charles moment. And she said, what's your dog's name? I said, King Charles. Duke of the Mainlands, but you can call him Casey. And she said, oh, this is Lucy. And we chatted a little bit longer, and I said to her, so nice to meet you, tell me your name. And she said, my name is Phyllis. Oh, my name is Phyllis. What are the coincidences? I continue to settle in my home and back at work with my amazing, supportive colleagues. And it's December 17th. And I'm out walking my dog, and I walked past Phyllis's house, and her next door neighbors were walking out. Now, a lot of people in my neighborhood have lived there for 50 years. Both these families had lived there for 50 years. And so the husband says to me, oh, you must be the other Phyllis with the other Cavalier King Charles. Sure, I'll be the other Phyllis. But we continue to chat, and she says, oh, Phyllis and I went to Hillsborough High School, and our mothers went to Hillsborough High School. And I said, my mother went to Hillsborough High School, and I pastored the church right next to Hillsborough High School. What a coincidence. And she said, yes, and we've lived in our house for 50 years, and this used to be an orange grove. And I said, oh, my great-grandparents owned an orange grove in Land O'Lakes. What a coincidence. I thanked them for the visit, and I said, please tell me your names. You know mine, the other Phyllis. And she said, well, his name is easy to remember. His name is Jerry. I said, oh, yes, that would be easy to remember. My mother's name is Jerry. And she said, my name is a little harder to remember. Most people can't pronounce it. I usually have to enunciate it and spell it. And I'm thinking, I live in a very Latin neighborhood. It's probably going to be a little challenging for me as well, but I'll give it a go. And she says, my name is Vilia. And I said, what? She says, Vilia. I said, no, you don't understand. My wife died last year, and her name was Vilia. She goes, really? I never met another Vilia, except for my mother, who was Vilia, whose father named her after the aria in the Merry Widow Waltz. And I said, well, my Vilia's mother's name was Vilia, and her father named her after an aria in the Merry Widow Waltz. And did you know there's a river in Russia named the Vilia? And there's a camera from Russia named the Vilia? And what are the coincidences that I would buy a house in Tampa down the street from Phyllis and Vilia and a Cavalier King Charles? You know, she's part of my life. She's part of our journey. There's lots of ways in which she will remind us of her presence in our lives. And I'm so deeply grateful that I had the opportunity to spend 10 years with you and share her with you, and that we can reflect on Vilia Corvison and the impact she made in our lives. Thank you.
It's time now to sing out, though the story never ends. Let's celebrate, remember a year in the life of friends. Remember the love. Remember the love. Remember the love. Measure in love. Seasons of love. Seasons of love.
Beloveds, oh, be seated. We got more time here. We're not done. Again, I just want to say that Phyllis asked for me to extend to you her gratitude for being here today and for being with her in this season of grief, this season of love. Thank you for all of the ways that you and we are family, no matter what. Phyllis also asked me to tell you that if you didn't bring money with you today and want to give to the MCC Tampa Food Pantry, I learned from Phyllis, and I learned really well about this. Like, get that last plug in. There's a little card in front of you, the seat pocket in front of you that has a QR code and other info. You can give to the food pantry by visiting the website that QR code magically takes you to when you shine your little phone camera thing at it. We're going to see a video in a moment of an amazing experience that Phyllis and Jeannie and others had on Friday when they released Vilia. When they went out and released her ashes, and we decided to share that with you. So I'll offer the benediction and then we'll watch this video. Beloveds, go from this place, knowing that you are in a season of love. Go from this place and share that love. Share those little bags. Share what people need. Help people to feel fed and cared for in this season and always. Amen.
All right. So we're in the Gulf of Mexico, right? And we're going to release Vilia to the universe.
To release the secret weapon.
And thanks to Jim for doing this. It's so nice.
Her number is 10241.
10241.
Do you keep that?
Sure.
Okay.
10241.
All right.
So here is 64 years of living. She has blessed each of us with her own zany, creative, nerdy,
unique irritation.
Indeed. And I was thinking it would be really cool if I just threw her out into the water, but we never know when a gust of wind is going to come on the tail of Vilia swooping back into our face. So I will just release you, Vilia, into the body that will carry you to the next places of your life's journey.
Goodbye, Vilia.
Thank you for loving us, blessing us. May your grand adventures continue.
Hell of a musician, that's for sure.
And chef, and composer,
and computer,
and network engineer,
yep,
and friend, and lover, and family member, and cromie.
How clear is that?
It's kind of cool to see her sitting on the top of the water and floating down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Kind of like she's composing again.
Who knows where this will end up?
Yeah.
Goodbye, my friend.
Bye. Thank you.
All right.
Let's rise and sing together.
Oh, mic's off. Thank you all for being here. You know we have church on Sunday morning. Hope to see you here, and go and be blessed.
When you